Welcome back to Moving with Meaning. I'm your host, Krystal. We've completed our September's mission maintenance series. I hope you enjoyed it. We're kicking off October with our Fearless Leadership series. In a month, symbolically tied to mass shadows and what lies beneath, we're peeling back the internal blocks that hold powerful leaders back. Each episode will uncover a hidden fear, reframe the story around it, and replace it with grounded confidence, emotional resilience, and bold alignment. This series is designed to help you recognize, face, and reframe the fears holding you back from bold, authentic leadership. You know what? Spotting fear isn't easy when it's wearing a disguise. High-achieving leaders often normalize their stress, overwork, or perfectionism as just part of the job. Some avoid naming their fears because they think it will make them look weak. Ooh, I think that's a common feeling here. Or they're simply too busy chasing results to pause and reflect. You know what? That's what we've been doing here on Moving with Meaning. And others confuse fear with drive, mistaking the rush of urgency for passion, which keeps them stuck on the same exhausting hamster wheel. We are kicking off this series with today's episode, Fear Who? It's all about awareness as the first step to courage. Before we can shift anything, we have to see it clearly. Awareness turns the unknown into something nameable and actionable. And that's where courage begins. By shining a light on your hidden fears, you take back your power and create space to lead with authenticity instead of anxiety. Don't I know it? Let's take a look at what's inside this episode. We're going to recognize common hidden fears in high-achieving leaders, such as visibility, failure, judgment, loss of control. And then we'll spot how fear disguises itself as procrastination, perfectionism, or overworking. And lastly, we're going to learn why naming fear softens its grip and begins the path to courage. That's right, folks. When you learn to spot the hidden fears behind your habits, whether it's perfectionism, procrastination, or overworking, you loosen the grip. Let's kick this episode off with a summary of today's focus. Awareness is more than just noticing. It's the spark that ignites change. When you're aware of your fears, you can stop them from running the show. This self-honesty fuels clarity, unlocks courage, and shifts you from reactive leadership to intentional leadership. All right, let's talk about what you actually gain when you shine a light on fear. These aren't just feel-good concepts. They are real, tangible benefits to leading with awareness. All right, benefit number one, clarity in decision-making. Awareness strips away the fog so you can make choices based on values, not fear. So we've been doing a lot of work here, okay, on creating our value, identifying what that is, and how well our mission, our actions, and our decisions are targeted to meet those, right? And keep those first and foremost in the front of your vision, okay? Now, when we do those reflection points and we start to say kind of like, why did we go off the course, right? Or why did we make this happen? Well, a lot of times it's hesitation. I'm going to call it fear. We're calling it fear just because we're in October, but there are hesitations, right, on why we are not doing something, right? We're always worried about something, and it usually is rooted in anxiety, right, or worry, all of those things, okay? But when you are clear and aware that you are afraid of something, you are literally stepping up your courage. You're stepping into that moment saying, I'm going to do it because this is what I want. This is where I want to be, and I know I have to go through it, not around it, right? So think about that. All right, benefit number two, emotional freedom. Naming fear reduces its power, freeing up energy for creative and strategic thinking. And this is, again, another common theme that we're going through, right? Just a little different spin on it, but it has the same results, okay? And yes, truly, it is liberating emotionally. Think about it if you were in a relationship and for some reason it's just stressful for whatever reason, and you make the decision to say, you know what, let's call it, and say that, this was great and we got whatever we got out of this, but we're no longer aligned. And once you've done that, a lot of times you feel liberated And then we also kind of feel guilty for feeling that way. But truly, you're looking at this and kind of saying, I am doing and making the best decision for me. All right. Next benefit, authentic confidence. Awareness helps you lead from your core strengths instead of overcompensating or second guessing. Yes. So I like this. We keep talking about authentic leadership and things like that. This is authentic confidence. This is all great stuff. But the key theme in all of these terms and the summaries and all that kind of stuff is awareness, right? We have to make sure that we are aware. We have to be honest with ourselves. It's about self-honesty and self-trust. Trust you. If anything, this is going to be hard. These things are not easy, right? But you have to trust that you are making the best decision for you and what you hold dear as far as your values and the folks around you, okay? This is really, truly about the legacy that you're building. It really is. And so when we look at that, we kind of say, okay, what are our strengths? Again, what we said before is what are the things that I enjoy most, that I am truly excited about? And why am I excited about those things? Some people are really great at strategic thinking. And then there's others who are really good at honesty and bringing the team together. Some others are really good at just keeping notes and details and remembering those things. I mean, so many things, strengths happen, and they can all come together, and everyone can be valued for that. Okay? So I really like this episode, and I'm so excited because fear has just I don't know, to me it has had a chokehold on me for so long. And it's just, at one point I just released all that and said, nah, I'm gonna take this world and the place that I'm in, and I'm going to really truly bring what I want to life. Okay, so how does this look in real life? So let's bring this down from concept to practice. Then let's explore some moments where awareness turned fear into courage, both at work and at home. All right. Personal scenario, the parent. A parent keeps scheduling family life. Reflection reveals its fear of missing out or appearing uncommitted. Awareness lets them simplify and reconnect at home. Now, here's what's beautiful about this is everyone has FOMO, okay? Fear of missing out at some point in time. And so for me, I wanted to be a part of everything with my kids, like everything. And I would put them in everything. And I would try to do as much as I possibly can with them. I mean, I'm serious, because they love you to be there. I remember dropping my daughter off at soccer practice, and I was like, I'm gonna just sit in the car. And she's like, well, I can't hear you from in here. So they wanted me to be present. And I'm that mama that yells and all that kind of stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, this might be embarrassing to them. And they're like, no. And so I just had to dial it back. And when I did, it looked like I was uninterested, right? I'm an extremely patient individual. And so what happens is that can come across and be misinterpreted as if I don't care, like I'm nonchalant or indifferent. And that's not true. So sometimes I have to take the time to explain these things, and I think it's okay, right? So again, being aware that I was spreading myself thin and I wasn't necessarily being truthful and showing up all the way in things, that it was received differently. Like you could see the shift in the mood. So I had to make some adjustments just to make the most out of everything that I was going to be at. All right. Now we're going to go into the professional scenario. The executive. A VP notices she's been procrastinating on presenting a bold idea. Through journaling, she realizes it's fear of judgment, not lack of readiness holding her back. Naming it helps her move forward with confidence. All right, so I, again, love this. You know why I love this? Because this particular VP journaled. And I know I've been telling y'all that that's one of them strategies that y'all should do. Not only that, it allows you to really see a trend. Like if you've ever journaled and then you kind of stop and said, I'm gonna go, this is my reflection period. Let me read back through my journal. And then you can see your own patterns through your own words. It's so empowering how honest you can be, as well as just looking at the data of what you have. And yeah, there are a lot of things that hold us back, and we don't think we're afraid. We're just constantly over preparing until it's to the point where it's like, what are you waiting on? You done everything else, right? And you cannot even, you run out of excuses, basically. And when you actually say, oh, you know why? It's because I'm scared. I'm scared of judgment. I'm scared that they're going to not like it. I'm scared they're going to challenge me and do all these things. Okay. And they should, because you need to stand on your idea. And that's okay if they question it, because when you do that, you're able to really think through your thoughts of considerations that you may not have ever thought of. So you always want to turn that negative into a positive, right? Because you're always gaining something. Don't always go into any kind of conversation assuming that you're right. You're just going in with your perspective. And again, it's your idea, and we're going to do it together. All right. The last scenario we have, which is, again, another professional scenario. The team lead, a manager, catches himself micromanaging every project, and in a coaching session, he identifies fear of losing control as the driver and shifts to empowering his team. Now, y'all heard me mention this several times, but again, what I love about this is that this team lead invested in a coach, okay? And so in one of their sessions, there was a discussion that happened, and we discovered, hey, I'm micromanaging. And sometimes we don't think we're micromanaging, right? Because I think I might have said this before, but some people actually prefer that, while others like the autonomy and the creativity. It's kind of like, tell me what you want, and I'll leave you alone, let me go do it. The other one is like, look, I work really good from tasks. I cannot organize my thoughts and what I need to do to get to the next level. Can you help me with that? And that's fine too, right? Because they're both mentoring aspects and there are different leadership styles, right? So you can't just be one type of leader, and you have to be able to be adaptable. And in this case, this person was just extremely micromanaging, but it was because, and this was me, it was because my reputation was staked on this success. So I had to make sure that they were doing everything to the T the way I wanted them to do it, so that it represented me. And that wasn't fair to them because they weren't learning. They were just doing what they were told. So they could never really explain anything. And if I was not present, all they could say is, you're going to have to talk to Krystal. Man, we don't want to do that. We want an empowered team to know the solution all the way through. Okay? Now, of course, seeing your fears isn't always comfortable. So let's call out why many leaders avoid this step in the first place and why it's worth pushing on through. All right, fear number one, normalizing fear. Many leaders normalize their stress, perfectionism, or overwork as just part of the job. I said that earlier, which hides the fact that fear is actually driving those behaviors. And that's true, right? So we talk about these things a lot of times. It's how we start to normalize our behaviors and think that this is just what we do, and that's not true. Okay, like I said, I'm in the IT and I'm in development and things like that, and we get stressed so often. And sometimes for me, I'm an analytic, right? And so I don't present a lot of ideas until I know it's right. Like, I will over analyze. I don't get into analysis paralysis, but I wouldn't have put a lot of stuff forward because I needed to really exhaust every avenue because I don't want to be wrong. And that's just something that's typical. But I had to realize that, hey, look, let's be more efficient and let's gather the community around and share these ideas, because it's faster than me just kind of circling myself, like spiraling over and over again. And, of course, you're just afraid. And I thought about that. I was like, man, I'm scared to put this stuff in front of me. It was like, what's the worst that could happen? They bring new ideas that you hadn't considered yet. And now you're able to design something better than what you have intended based off of input and feedback. Hello? Isn't that what you coach your team to do? Okay, well, you need to do it too. Anyway, next fear we have is avoiding the name. Others avoid naming their fears because they believe it makes them look weak or vulnerable. So the fear keeps operating in the background unchecked. And this is subconsciously, okay? So we don't want to call out that I feel weak. Like, who wants to admit that no one wants to admit that, okay? And no one wants to be vulnerable because people can use that against you. And I'm not gonna say all, but other folks who have their own fears of being overshadowed, of I don't know, looking bad or whatever else by your performance being great, they'll use what you are fearing, they'll use that against you. So, you know what I'm saying? The way I look at it is I'm going to unload their clip, and they're going to have to find and work hard to try to make me look bad, right? And that's because I'm extremely transparent and I'm honest, right? And I always back up my stuff at the end of the day, right? So I track the work that I do, how I've done it, and did I have the amount of resources and things like that to do these things? I track everything. That's why it's really important for me to do weekly statuses, updates, whether I'm being asked to or not. I do check-ins, and then after the check-ins, I literally document what we reviewed and discussed in those so that they can see it. When they see it and it, right? And if someone tries to use it, like, oh no, you never told me that. It's like, are you sure? Because here's the conversation we had on this day, and here's what we discussed in it. If you said it was okay too, you responded and said yeah, so you knew, right? And I think it's just best practice. I'm not saying to just do this because you're afraid of something like that happening to you. I think it's just good practice in general from a communication standpoint. But name your fears, and they will not have a hold over you. Okay. And then frustration number 3, the last one: confusing fear with drive. Some confuse the adrenaline of urgency with passion, mistaking fear-based urgency for true motivation and staying stuck on the hamster wheel. Well, I told you about that analysis paralysis. Yes, you will get stuck on there because you're thinking, I have to hurry up and deliver something. I have to whatever else. And when you deliver something, you want to be as close to error-free as possible. And sometimes, you can't, it's something called exhaustive testing. You cannot do that. You have to literally put it out in the world and let folks experience it. And again, take in the feedback so that you can improve over time. I mean, don't you see all these updates on these apps and stuff and software applications and stuff, all that stuff like that? That's because they're improving it, right? They found some things that they missed in their test and they fixed them and then put out the fix. Like, that's all it is. It happens all the time. So if these big companies can do it, so can you. All right, just dial it in, right? So don't confuse the adrenaline of being urgent and passionate and the drive or whatever, and mistake that because you're moving on fear, right? And that's very difficult to unravel and unwind and decide and discern, okay? But we're gonna do it anyway. All right, we've explored how hidden fears show up and the toll they take. Now let's flip the script and talk solutions. Practical moves you can start building awareness and turning it into courage. Yes, today. All right, strategy number 1, spot the patterns. Awareness starts with observation. Keeping a running log, mental or written, of when you feel you're holding yourself back. Procrastinating or overworking. Look for repeat triggers like certain meetings, projects, or people to identify exactly where fear shows up in your day-to-day. Patterns reveal the real problem, not just the surface behavior. And that is so true, right? So in the example I gave before, the VP or the executive was journaling and went back through, okay, and to see some things. I personally, be honest with you, I have a really good memory. And so I can really kind of, when I do my reflections, I can really recall these moments. It's just because these are huge, impactful moments that I have when fear shows up, right? Because my anxiety raises and my blood pressure raises and my heart's beating fast. And when I notice those things, I'm like, what is going on? And then I will realize, well, it's because I'm in this particular meeting and I don't ever feel prepared. So what can I do to fix that, right? Is maybe to start having pre-prep conversations, prepare the deck a week before and have it sent out and updated for feedback before, it's called a pre-read. Do all those things, right? Maybe it's a particular project. I'm going to another project that I don't feel like I have all the skills, so I'm going to be learning on the job. That's concerning to me. That makes me anxious. And then again, I told you before, people. There's just some people that I can only limit my amount of time to with. There are certain folks who they draw conclusions and then you try to correct them, and then when you correct them, they say that you're getting defensive. So I just avoid even correcting. I'm just saying, that's what you think, that's what it's going to be, because I ain't got time to go back and forth and be accused of being argumentative or whatever. Like, you want to stay in la la land? Go, more power to you. All right, strategy number 2, name it out loud. Once you see the pattern, label it, say it in your head, or even write it down. This is fear of visibility, or this is fear of failure. Naming the fear removes its invisibility cloak. It helps shrink its power and gives you a clear target for action instead of a vague feeling. And see, that's why it's important to name your fear, because now you can look at the behavior and then you can now take action to avoid it. And I think that is incredibly powerful, right? Is that we're not naming it just to say we naming it. We're naming it so that we can conquer it. That's really is, right? Because the moment that you say that makes me feel weak, you literally are freeing yourself from that shackle. Okay. And now you are going to be constantly aware of this feeling because you've attached this feeling to an emotion. Okay. And now you can say, okay, I feel that. This is what I'm going to do. These are the practices that I put in place when I feel like this. And then it becomes habit and it becomes routine. Okay. Last strategy, micro acts of courage. Courage grows by practice, not perfection. Pick one small, low stakes action each day that nudges you past your fear. Speaking up in a meeting, asking for feedback, or sharing an idea early. These micro acts build confidence, muscle memory, and make brave leadership feel natural. Not only does it build confidence, it also spreads across others in the team because it's encouragement. Well, okay, well, if she's saying it, I'm gonna say it too. Now, here's what I'm talking about when I say speaking up. Like, for example, if I'm in a meeting and I say, okay, does everyone understand or have any questions? And maybe you don't have any questions. You say, yeah, I understand. That's an example of speaking up. Just letting your voice be known, right? Because now I'm attaching this, right? Because now they're great at confirmation and affirming anything that I say. Things like that. Or they'll come up with, hey, look, I got a question. What if this happens? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, okay, this and that. Now, here's why this is also important, and we have to be careful with that, is if you're going to ask a question or you're going to speak up, be careful with how you phrase it. Like I said, when you phrase a question as a conclusive statement, then there's no room to answer. It's now going to kind of almost come with a debate, and not a healthy debate. It's going to be, whoa. No, that's not what that's not what's going on. We've done this, and this, and this is how we're, well, why are we getting all excited about whatever? And it's like, well, we're not, we're correcting what you just said. You this is the conclusion you've drawn, and we're saying, no, and this is why we haven't done this way. Right? So be careful with just your phrasing and stay away as much as you possibly can from conclusive statements. It's just one of those things where it evokes a different response from individuals, even yourself. If you were to be, asked something that way, that it comes across as passive aggressive. So just be careful. All right. Strategies in hand, mindset reset, and you're already lighter. This is the moment where we take everything you've learned today and turn it into fuel for the week ahead. Let's wrap up with a message you can carry with you, and one that keeps you steady when things get loud, fast, or scary. You've just taken the first step in naming what's been leading you, and that takes courage. This week, when fear tries to slip on a new mask, procrastination, overworking, perfectionism, pause and call it by its real name, because every time you name it, you reclaim a little more of your power. Carry that truth with you, and remember, what you refuse to name continues to lead you. All right, I love that, and I think that's very powerful. I'd love to hear any of your ideas or anything that you've come across that you've named. All right. As a reminder, if you want more of me that delve into deeper topics, check out my podcast, Moving with Meaning, the podcast. I'm on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Music. Check out my website, movingwithmeaning.com. Also, if you are interested in my path to emotional resilience, I wrote my business memoir that takes you on my 8-year journey in a tough competitive environment. You can find it on Amazon by the title, Embrace the Code, Cultivating Emotional Resilience in a Tough IT Culture. Here is my graphic with all of my social media connections. Hit your girl up or just follow along. Maybe something will pop out at you. Also, if you are particularly inspired by any of my conversations or episodes and think this would be a good match for your next event, I'm your girl. Book me to speak on it. Or you're interested in converting this into a workshop, I got you covered. I facilitate. Perhaps this is right in line with your own experience and want to partner with me to add a bit more oxygen to that spark. I'm a coach. Maybe finding the right words for your own memoir or ebook has you all balled up in knots. Well, I'm the ghostwriter that can put your thoughts and ideas to paper. If any of those strike your interest and you just want to talk opportunities, take the first step and book me completely free using this QR code. All right. I've enjoyed you guys today, and I hope you guys have a wonderful and blessed week ahead as well as the weekend. Remember this, though: name it, frame it, and rise above it. Until I see you again, just keep moving